Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Tomorrow is a WRAL Weather Alert Day. We have a level 1 risk for severe storms. I'll show you what time the severe weather could arrive where you are.
And I'm following breaking news. Big delays on 40 westbound coming in from Johnston County this morning. I'll show you which exits you need to avoid.
A 14-year-old is dead. 5 others are hurt after gunfire erupted in Goldsboro. What investigators are revealing about the moments right before the shooting.
And breaking overnight, a new ruling for the medication used in abortions. What we're learning about it and how it may impact you. Thank you for joining us on your Thursday morning. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for making us part of your Thursday here. It's a beautiful start,
yes.
Right? We're going to have a great day, summer-like. And then Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. It's going to change a little bit tomorrow, but we're going to stay in the present here.
Yeah, it's going to be gorgeous today. Again, like yesterday, this is a live look at Chapel Hill. Busy there. Lots of people walking around in a jacket this morning because temperatures are in the 50s right now. We'll climb into the 80s again this afternoon like we did yesterday. 56 is our current temperature around the triangle. We have a southwest wind right now at 9 miles per hour. So the wind's picked up just a little. It'll be a touch breezy this afternoon, but nothing that will cause you any problems. It's 58 now in Southern Pines. It's 51 in Goldsboro, 55 in South Hill, still in the upper 40s in Roxborough and down in Clinton. Hour by hour, we hit mid-70s at lunchtime. We'll be in the mid-80s for this afternoon. It stays mild well into the evening, but we will see increasing clouds. And after dinner time, we may see a few isolated showers. Of course, we do have that level 1 risk for severe storms for tomorrow across the entire viewing area. Damaging winds would be our biggest threat. Here's how the day is likely to go. We're going to see some rain heavy at times during the morning, and that's likely to affect the morning commute, especially the latter half of the morning commute. And then during the afternoon, we'll see an increasing chance of scattered thunderstorms. That's when we'd have the best chance of seeing any severe storms. We'll walk through this with Futurecast in just a bit. Brian?
Here at 8:02, we've been following a crash on 40 westbound, right around the 42 interchange in the Cleveland community there in Johnston County. Apparently, it's still on the right shoulder there, and we're still seeing some pretty heavy delays coming in from the 210 interchange up toward 42. We're looking at about a 20-minute backup showing up on the sensors now. And then once you hit 42, about a 6-minute delay through the Clayton bypass. Now, that 6 minutes is pretty typical for this time of day, but coming in from McGee's Crossroads around the 210 interchange, that's just some pretty big delays. You might avoid using 210 to get to I-40 westbound this morning. You might consider using Highway 50 up to 42, and then from there pick up 40 westbound on the other side of that big backup. The trends have been improving a little bit there, so it may be better at this point if you're coming in from McGee's Crossroads just to be prepared to wait in the traffic on 40 westbound approaching 42. The good news is that once you get through that into Garner, traffic is flowing fairly well this morning. We have some of the usual backups showing up on sensors. We'll take a closer look at those in a moment. A couple of crashes I want to point out. One on the south side of Raleigh toward Fuquay, Apex, Garner, sort of there at 1010 Road around Johnson Pond Road. There are still some backups showing up on 1010 Road, but it also looks like those sensor readings have been improving over the past few minutes. On the southwest side of Raleigh, watch for a crash on Tryon Road at Avon Ferry Road. Not seeing big delays with that. Taking a look at those major approaches into Raleigh, some significant backups through Knightdale with congestion on 87 southbound, about a 15-minute delay. Once you get to 540, traffic's flowing freely back toward 440. Also about a 7-minute slowdown showing up on southbound Capitol Boulevard coming in from Wake Forest toward Raleigh. In Durham right now, I-40 and 85 are looking fine, just seeing the usual delays on 885 between I-40 and 147.
All right, thank you, Brian. Developing now, 5 people remain in the hospital after a shooting that also killed a 14-year-old girl. The shooting started after 6:30 near North Leslie Street in Goldsboro. Police stayed on that scene late into the night. Michael Grace brings us up to speed from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker.
Well, the big question right now is if police know who the shooter or shooters are, because from what we've learned, no one is in custody at this time. The witnesses say they heard gunshots come from what sounded like a pool party. We spoke to folks in the area, and there was a growing frustration about the pattern of gun violence and the youth. Here's what one community activist had to say about yesterday.
Every time something like this happens, it's my hope that it's a rallying cry, and not just and that's what's happening in the world. The world is getting like numb.
Now back here at UNC Health, Wayne, the hospital was actually on lockdown until just after 11 last night, and that's because it was a gun-related crime. But we're still working with officials to find out more about the extent of injuries for those 5 people inside. So once we have those answers, so will you. In Goldsboro, Michael Grace, WRAL News.
We also have breaking news from overnight in the legal battle of mifepristone, the main drug that's used in medication abortions. Just before midnight, a federal appeals court partially blocked a nationwide ban on the drug that was set to start tomorrow night. That ban had been ordered by a federal judge in Texas. So here's what the new ruling means. Mifepristone will remain available to women while the case moves through the courts. But the court also allowed new restrictions on the drug to take effect, and that includes requiring women to visit a doctor in person to get mifepristone. Now, women are already required to do that in our state here in North Carolina, but this ruling will impose the same rule in dozens of states where the drug is more easily accessible.
This morning, we're working to learn what caused a serious crash that shut down Avon Ferry Road in Holly Springs for hours overnight. Video from the WRAL breaking news tracker shows the scene near Holly Meadow Drive after 9 p.m. We spotted several motorcycles on the street, but Holly Springs police have not confirmed if anyone was hurt. We've made several calls for more information. The road has since reopened.
Today marks 6 months since a mass shooting in Raleigh's Hedingham neighborhood. It was the evening of October 13th when police say a 15-year-old boy killed a relative at his house and then went out into the street and along the Neuse River Trail Greenway, firing shots at people. 5 people were killed, including a police officer. 2 others were hurt. The 15-year-old was hurt in a shootout with police. Officers haven't said if he has since recovered or where he's being held. Investigators say he could be charged as an adult, but that hasn't happened yet. You can read our coverage of the shooting and the Hedingham community's efforts to recover on WRAL.com.
In just about 25 minutes, we'll get another key measure of inflation ahead of a big decision on interest rates. The Producer Price Index is due out at 8:30 this morning. It measures prices that producers pay for goods, services, and construction. We asked NC State economist Mike Walden what he expects from today's report, and he thinks it will show inflation is easing, but warns that if oil prices go up, that could mean higher prices at the pump for you this summer. The Federal Reserve also uses today's report to gauge whether to raise interest rates for a 10th consecutive time.
Classes are canceled at schools all across Fort Lauderdale, and the community's airport remains closed as well. This is all after extreme flooding there. If you take a look at this video, some of those areas saw as much as 18 inches of rain. Can you imagine 1.5 feet in just 12 hours? Cars are stuck in floodwaters all across the city. Officials at Fort Lauderdale's airport are warning people not to enter or leave because these pictures show the cars that were trying to get out of the airport's parking garage are all submerged in water.
Just quite the sight to see there. Also breaking overnight, an investigation is underway regarding a security breach of President Joe Biden's visit to Ireland today. While you were sleeping, officials say a document outlining the trip details was found in the middle of the street. It appears to show Biden's locations and meetings. According to the BBC, it does not contain any of Biden's personal information. Northern Ireland officers urge they will take appropriate action.
Former President Donald Trump is back in New York City this morning for a deposition in a lawsuit against his nonprofit organization. New video shows him arriving at Trump Tower last night. He will answer questions about accusations the Trump organization falsified financial statements in order to obtain loans. New York Attorney General Letitia James filed the lawsuit. It also names Trump's oldest children. The case is ready to go to trial in October, and this is separate from the criminal charges against the former president.
A 15-year-old is dead after drowning in Hyco Lake. It happened along Shore Road on the east side of the lake just before 6 o'clock last night. The search lasted about 2 hours. Witnesses say the boy was with a group of teenagers. They say he wasn't a strong swimmer and may have been shocked by the strong current and cold water. Swimming is not allowed in the area, but the sheriff says it is a popular hangout spot for teens. The boy's name has not been released.
Breaking news overnight, North Korea launched a ballistic missile causing people in parts of Japan to evacuate and seek shelter. That's according to South Korean officials. They say the missile landed outside of Japan's exclusive economic zone. After alerting people there to take cover, Japanese Coast Guard later said there was no longer a threat. This recent missile launch comes just days after North Korea's Kim Jong-un called for the country to strengthen its war tactics.
UNC police are warning parents about a phone scam. The department says it's gotten multiple reports from parents who are getting calls asking for money to bail out their child. The number makes it appear the call is coming from UNC police. The department says it will never call to ask someone to give bail money. And a new warning this morning from the CDC, what you need to know about the potentially deadly virus doctors are on the lookout for.
Also, people are moving away from having multiple streaming subscriptions. We break down the latest numbers on the amount of subscription cancellations.
And tomorrow is a WRAL weather alert day. We have a level 1 risk for flooding and for severe storms. I'll show you the timeline coming up.
Welcome back. Look at this beautiful shot of Apex. Not a cloud in the sky. It feels nice out there. It's going to be a beautiful day today, but things will change tomorrow. Tomorrow is the WRAL weather alert day. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here timing out when we're going to see this rain.
It's likely that we'll start the day tomorrow with some rain and then end up with thunderstorms in the afternoon. We do have a level 1 risk for severe storms and a level 1 risk for flooding. And the main reason for that is all the rain that we saw last week has allowed our rivers to rise, and they're still fairly high. So even a little bit of rain could cause some minor flooding. Damaging wind would be our biggest threat with severe storms. This doesn't look like it would be a big tornado issue for us. The best rain chances will be on Friday. That rain will be heavy in the morning with some isolated storms in the afternoon. Temperatures will be in the 70s Friday and then 80s on Saturday and Sunday. If you're working on your weekend plans, right now it looks fairly dry for Saturday and Sunday. An isolated shower or two could pop up either day. It'll be cloudy on and off each day, so it won't be completely clear, but it does look like things will be a little drier, especially Sunday, than they looked like before. Here's our first system that's going to be moving northward up into our area for tomorrow. We'll start the loop here on Futurecast at 4 a.m. with some showers down here into the Sandhills. Tomorrow at 6 a.m., we're starting to see more of that rain spreading northward. And this is a pretty heavy band of rain that comes in during the morning commute. It's going to be maybe the second half of the morning commute with around 8 o'clock, seeing the rain around the triangle, but some heavier rain down in our southern counties. Between 8 and 10 and noon, it lifts northward and out of the viewing area with a few holes in the clouds. But where we have holes in the clouds, we're going to, of course, warm the surface of the earth a little bit and create some instability and some scattered storms. So we'll see scattered storms on and off through the afternoon and into the evening. Saturday, we'll start off with cloud cover, but we may end up seeing a few breaks in the clouds during the afternoon. Same story, not likely to see thunderstorms, but with some lingering moisture and a little bit of warmth, we could pop just a shower or two. Here's a look at Sunday. We'll start here at Sunday at 8 a.m. We're nice and dry. We're following a front that's going to be back to the west. This is lunchtime, becoming cloudy, but we're still pretty dry there at 5 o'clock. After that, once we get into the evening and overnight, we'll have a better chance for some scattered storms. Again, Friday will be the wettest day. Friday will likely see anywhere from a half an inch to an inch of rain across our area, and then we may not add very much to that on Saturday or Sunday. Because of that, we do have that level 1 flooding risk for Friday because we've had so much rain in the last week. The rivers are still high in places, and so we could end up with some flooding. It's a 90% chance on Friday and a 20% chance on Saturday and Sunday. We do have a little bit of lingering flooding left from last weekend in Tarboro. We're looking at minor flooding along the Tar River at Riverside Park. That should begin to drop by tomorrow. Again, we have a WRAL weather alert day for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Really not looking too bad. It's going to be a lot stickier. It'll feel more humid, a little bit more, a little better chance of some sunshine with an isolated shower, and then we're cooler again for Monday and Tuesday. Brian?
It is 8:16 and new information. We have a crash right now on the northbound side of 885 or the Durham Freeway just before you get to TW Alexander Drive. Taking a look at the still image from that traffic camera. Can't really see that crash, but we are seeing some of the backups showing up there on 885 northbound. We're measuring about a 3-minute delay overall from I-40 up toward I-85. Not seeing big backups through there, which is good news. Southbound traffic also seeing seeing a little bit of a delay as you head away from 147 down toward TW Alexander. Taking a look at those backups coming in from Johnston County, things are looking a lot better on 40 westbound. We had an earlier crash right around the 42 interchange. Still seeing some backups there as you head between 42 and the Clayton bypass. About a 7-minute delay overall on that ride heading into Gardner up toward Raleigh. But the ride from McGee's Crossroads up to 42 looking fine right now on 40 westbound with no delays. A couple other crashes that we're still monitoring. One at 1010 Road at Blaney Franks Road. That's well in the clearing stages now. And some new details about a crash on the east side of downtown Raleigh on Lenore Street at Freeman Street, which is not too far from Rock Quarry Road. Looks like a crash with injuries there. We are seeing some delays in both directions of Lenore Street.
All right, thank you, Brian. Dramatic new 911 calls from the shooting at a Louisville bank included a frantic call from the gunman's mother.
Yes, my son might be. He apparently has a gun and he's heading toward the Old National at on Main Street here in Louisville.
Main Street, Old National?
Yes, and this is his mother. I'm so sorry. I'm getting details secondhand. I'm running to it now. Oh, my Lord.
The gunman's mother said his roommate found a note and alerted her to what was happening. 25-year-old Connor Sturgeon killed 5 people and injured 8 others on Monday morning at the bank where he worked. Police officers shot and killed Sturgeon about 9 minutes after that attack began. And dozens gathered for a public vigil in Louisville to pray for the 5 victims that were killed and the 9 others that were hurt in this deadly bank attack. A police officer and 2 others remain in critical condition this morning. Several law enforcement officers attended that vigil to show their support.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we want to take you live right now to Dublin, Ireland. That's where President Biden continues his 4-day trip to Ireland. You can see him here meeting with the Ireland's president at the presidential palace. He's been quite busy so far already today, taking part in a tree planting ceremony. He also plans to ring the peace bell, and that was commemorated during the 10th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement that brought peace to Northern Ireland. Of course, there you see the president walking with other diplomats there in Dublin, Ireland. Later today, he will attend a youth Gaelic sports demonstration. He will address our version of Parliament in Ireland. And later tonight, he will attend a banquet dinner. Of course, this is a developing story, and we'll continue to track whatever developments come out of Ireland as the president visits that country.
Big dog, Ken. Thanks for the update right there. Wow. Cute, too. The second of 2 Tennessee lawmakers expelled from their positions after a gun reform protest is back now. Justin Pearson led the celebration after commissioners in Memphis voted unanimously to reappoint him. GOP leaders expelled him and Justin Jones from their seats in the Tennessee House last week. Pearson says that only made their voices louder.
They tried to kill democracy. They tried to expel the people's choice and the people's vote. And they awakened a sleeping giant.
The reappointments of Pearson and Jones are both as interim representatives. Special elections will be held at a later date.
This morning, the CDC warns U.S. doctors should be on the lookout for a potentially deadly virus that's similar to Ebola. Right now, there aren't any known cases of Marburg across the nation. The health advisory comes amid outbreaks in 2 African countries. The CDC says although the risk is low in America, doctors should remain on alert.
People can get on airplanes. People can travel. It's very easy to get from one part of the world to another today.
She says we don't need to be afraid about the virus at this time, but make sure you're aware. The CDC says Marburg is not contagious until symptoms appear. And here's a look at some of those symptoms: fever, headache, muscle and joint pain, unexplained bleeding, fatigue, or loss of appetite.
Tonight, the state of North Carolina is marking Black Maternal Health Week with a special screening of the WRAL documentary, Critical Term: Why Are Black Mothers and Babies Dying? Black moms are twice as likely to die in childbirth than white mothers in North Carolina. Critical Term examines the maternal and infant crisis and the steps being taken to address the situation. Tonight's in-person viewing starts at 6:30 at the Creedmoor Community Center. A virtual screening will be held Monday night at 6. For more information or to register, you can go to WRAL.com. And you can watch Critical Term anytime on WRAL.com. Just click on the documentary section.
New York police are working to determine the culprit behind threatening letters sent to Manhattan's district attorney. Alvin Bragg says he received a second letter on Wednesday that contained white powder inside. His office is prosecuting former President Donald Trump on 34 charges. Authorities determined the powder was not hazardous. The letter also included a picture of Bragg and Trump. Investigators say Bragg received a death threat in the letter last month.
The amount of people canceling their streaming subscriptions has outpaced new subscriptions. Rocket Money says it's been that way for the last 2 quarters. Streaming services have been hit hard with a 49% increase in cancellations last year compared to 2021. Consumer experts say people are paying closer attention to how much their subscriptions cost as rising inflation continues to tighten budgets.
Well, we use it to keep our food fresh, but turns out these containers may have an expiration date of their own. Legendary brand Tupperware warns that it could soon go out of business. This week, share prices fell to less than $2. A decade ago, shares were worth about $100. The colorful bowls and tops have been used to store everything from casseroles to cookies for more than 75 years.
It's just so handy, and they had all those parties back in the day for them.
Yes.
More news, weather, and traffic when we return.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good Thursday morning. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey with your top stories. We are in for a beautiful Thursday. Sunshine and warm temperatures. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here with a look around town.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there right now. We're seeing sunshine everywhere. Wilson looking pretty. Just a little bit of a light breeze. You can see the whirligig spinning just a little bit. 57, 56 in Durham there at our newsroom. And in Fayetteville, it's 53 degrees with lots of sunshine. Our temperature is feeling nice in the 50s now. We'll see a very quick warm up. We climb on up into the mid 70s by lunchtime. If you're headed out for exercise, it's feeling fairly crisp right now. Our humidity stays low all day, so even though we'll hit 84, it should still feel fairly comfortable, especially in the shade. We'll still be in the 70s this evening. We'll see increasing clouds and a chance of a shower this evening and tonight, Brian.
8:27 right now as we take a look at traffic around the triangle. Still have this crash reported on the northbound side of 885. Which is the Durham Freeway, right around TW Alexander Drive. A little bit of a backup there between Cornwallis and TW Alexander, but then it clears up pretty quickly. Also on the east side of downtown Raleigh, watch for a crash on Lenore Street, right around Freeman Street. Looks like they're working to get that one cleared. Not seeing any big delays showing up on the sensors. Taking a look at your major approaches into Raleigh, we're seeing about a 7-minute delay on 40 westbound, right around the Clayton bypass. Coming in from Wake Forest on southbound Capitol Boulevard, about a 4-minute slowdown heading toward 540.
Thanks, Brian. A 14-year-old is dead and 5 others are in the hospital this morning after a shooting in Goldsboro. And so far, no one is in custody. The shooting happened at a home on North Leslie Street around 6:30 last night. 5 victims are in stable condition at UNC Health Wayne. And coming up next on Fox 50 within the next 30 minutes, another key measure of inflation will be released on interest rates. Ken Smith will break down the Producer Price Index report from the Live Center.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Tomorrow is a WRAL weather alert day. We could see strong thunderstorms and flooding. I'll show you what to expect where you are.
Plus, what we're still asking investigators after 1 person was killed and 5 others were injured after a shooting in Goldsboro.
And in a matter of minutes, we will learn about a key measure of inflation and its potential impact on your summer plans. Getting a little taste of summer outside right now today. It feels good today. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Yeah, it is beautiful. You needed maybe the light jacket this morning, but later on today, getting up into the 80s, it's really going to feel like summer. It's going to be so nice. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner here with a look over Chapel Hill this morning.
Pretty here. Lots of people out and about in Chapel Hill with all this blue sky. We're seeing that all across the viewing area right now. It is in the mid 50s across the triangle. So yeah, like Michelle said, a jacket probably feels pretty nice. Our south southwesterly flow is at 9 miles per hour right now, so we do have that warm air continuing to push into our region. It's 53 in Fayetteville, 57 in Rocky Mount, 56 in Durham, still 48 in Roxborough. But as we get through the next hour or so, those temperatures are going to warm up quickly. We'll hit 75 by lunchtime, and we'll be in the mid-80s for highs this afternoon. The humidity stays low like it did yesterday, so that'll be a very comfortable mid-80s that we'll see. But as we get into the weekend and see a better chance for rain, we'll also see our humidity climbing. We'll talk about when you can expect showers and thunderstorms coming up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Developing now, 5 people remain in the hospital after a shooting that also killed a 14-year-old girl. The shooting started after 6:30 last evening near North Leslie Street in Goldsboro. You see it on this map here. Police stayed on the scene late into the night. Michael Grace brings us up to speed from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker.
Well, the big question right now is if police know who the shooter or shooters are, because from what we've learned, no one is in custody at this time. The witnesses say they heard gunshots come from what sounded like a pool party. We spoke to folks in the area, and there was a growing frustration about the pattern of gun violence and the youth. Here's what one community activist had to say about yesterday.
I just feel like as a community, we need to do better. We can do better. You know, like I said, I've had several roundtables about many issues, and the rooms are not crowded. They're not crowded enough.
Now back here at UNC Health Wayne, the hospital was actually on lockdown until just after 11 last night, and that's because it was a gun-related crime. But we're still working with officials to find out more about the extent of injuries for those 5 people inside. So once we have those answers, so will you. In Goldsboro, Michael Grace, WRAL News.
Breaking news in the legal battle over mifepristone. That's the main drug used in medication abortions. Just before midnight, a federal appeals court partially blocked a nationwide ban on the drug that was set to start tomorrow night. The ban had been ordered by a federal judge in Texas. So here's what that new ruling means. Mifepristone will remain available to women while the case moves through the courts, but the court also allowed new restrictions on the drug to take effect. That includes requiring women to visit a doctor in person to get mifepristone, and women are already required to do that here in North Carolina, but this ruling will impose the same rule in dozens of states where the drug is more easily accessible.
Any minute now, we will get another key measure of inflation after a report released within the last 24 hours showed some reasons for optimism. WRAL's Naya Harden spoke to a local economist and joins us now in Raleigh with what we can expect about all this today. Naya?
That's right. That new report just dropping this morning at 8:30, and we have Ken Smith, who is in the Live Center and is currently taking a look at that, and we'll have details for you from the Live Center coming up in a few minutes. But we do want to talk about, from the local economist side, what they are seeing. They had expected to see this drop when it comes to the producer price index, but one of the things that was going to be a problem was they said that it was not going to last for long. We had Mike Walden, NC State economist, who had said that this is good news where we are seeing this because there's a reduction when it comes to the supply chain problems, and then also a slowdown in production like manufacturing. But the problem that he says that we won't see on this report just yet will be in oil. Prices have risen after OPEC Plus, a group of 23 countries that export oil, decided to cut back production. This would also put the consumer price index report in jeopardy. Yesterday, we saw the smallest increase since May 2021. That was 5%. Walden says he doesn't think this will stop the feds from raising rates.
I don't think that's going to slow the Fed down. I think they still have some more interest rate hikes in store. I think they probably view the financial situation crisis, some will call, that we had about a month ago, that looks like that's been contained. Got to remember, their goal is around 2% year over year. So they have some ways to go.
Again, Ken Smith is in the Live Center. He is taking a look at the report that was just released at 8:30 this morning. He's going to let you know what it is showing coming up in the next few minutes. Naya Harden, WRAL News in Raleigh.
We're also working to learn what caused a serious crash that shut down Avon Ferry Road in Holly Springs for hours overnight. Video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker shows this scene near Holly Meadow Drive after 9 p.m. We spotted several motorcycles on the street, but Holly Springs police have not confirmed if anyone was hurt out of all this. We've made several more calls for more information. And that road, by the way, if you travel that in the early morning hours, it has since reopened.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, the highly anticipated PPI report just dropped within the last minute or so when Naya was on the air. And you can see the headlines right now, courtesy of CNBC. Stock futures rise. You see the stock market and the pre-market numbers reacting to the fact that the PPI report shows a cooling of inflation. Now, the numbers are still being processed right now, but that's the headline, that the PPI report shows that inflation is cooling. Of course, this is a key metric the Federal Reserve will be looking at when that body meets next month, May 2nd, to determine whether or not a 10th consecutive interest rate hike might be necessary. You just heard NC State economist Mike Walden saying that he does not believe the Fed is finished with raising interest rates. But of course, as we crunch these numbers, we'll be able to report more specifically about how this will impact you and your family. Of course, we'll have the latest opening numbers in our next hour of news here on Fox 50.
All right, Ken, thank you. Well, today marks 6 months since a mass shooting in Raleigh's Hedingham neighborhood. It was the evening of October 13th when police say a 15-year-old boy killed a relative at his house, then went out into the street and along the Neuse River Trail Greenway, firing shots at people. 5 people died, including a police officer. 2 others were hurt. The 15-year-old was hurt in a shootout with police. Officers have not said if he's since recovered or where he's being held. Investigators say he could be charged as an adult, but that hasn't happened yet. You can read our coverage of the shooting and the Hedingham community's efforts to recover on WRAL.com.
A man who shot and killed himself at WakeMed North was involved in another shooting just hours before that. That's according to the Wake County Sheriff's Office. Authorities say 48-year-old James Davis shot himself in the parking lot of the hospital on Falls of Neuse Road just before 2 yesterday afternoon. Deputies say Davis was a person of interest in a shooting that happened around 8:30 yesterday morning on Covered Wagon Lane. They say a man was shot there and seriously hurt.
Former President Donald Trump is back in New York this morning to sit for a deposition in a lawsuit against his nonprofit organization. New video shows him arriving at Trump Tower last night. He'll answer questions about accusations the Trump organization falsified financial statements in order to obtain loans. New York Attorney General Letitia James filed the lawsuit. It also names Trump's eldest children. The case is set to go to trial in October, and this is separate from the criminal charges against the former president. Today, students at UNC Chapel Hill are planning to walk out of class in protest. The group says they want the university to reverse its decision to ban a second-year law student from campus. That student, Jamie Marciano, was charged with domestic terrorism after a violent protest over a controversial police training complex near Atlanta. The students walking out today say Marciano was only attending a peaceful music festival nearby. He's been arrested for other protests dating back to 2016. Today's walkout is set for 1:30.
It could be days still before a massive fire spewing toxic fumes over a community in Indiana is put out. Video shows the smoke over the plastic recycling plant in Richmond, Indiana, where more than 2,000 people were forced to evacuate when that fire started on Tuesday. Officials now say the smoke could contain asbestos and other dangerous particles. Investigators are still trying to figure out what caused the fire, and another update is scheduled for later today. Coming up on 8:40 right now on your Thursday, and authorities have released the 911 calls from a deadly shooting in Apex.
And I just saw somebody get shot in the parking lot.
Yeah, what those calls were uncovering about the chaotic moments that led to an 18-year-old killed outside of Academy Sports.
And the National Recording Registry adds some iconic artists to its list. We'll tell you who made the cut.
And take a live look outside from the WRAL weather camera in Dix Park. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will tell us about the latest forecast as we approach the weekend with a WRAL Weather Alert Day on tap for tomorrow. .43 is the time right now on your Thursday morning. And look at that sunshine over Clayton. Good morning to you as you watch WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. But important to mention, Elizabeth Gardner of the WRAL Severe Weather Center, this weather alert day that's been issued for tomorrow.
We're looking at the potential for damaging winds and for flooding tomorrow. It'll start tomorrow morning with some rain. We'll have a better chance for thunderstorms in the afternoon. We're going to walk through that with Futurecast. The risk for tomorrow, it's a level 1 risk for both severe storms and for flooding tomorrow. Damaging winds, small hail, and of course, as I mentioned, flooding would be our biggest impact. This is a look at the outline of our flooding risk for tomorrow. We're looking at most of the viewing area with that. And the reason that we're seeing this is we had so much rain last weekend that we still have a lot of water in the creeks and the rivers, so it won't take that much rain to start to push them out of their banks again. So we'll be watching for that. This is the system that's going to bring us the rain. And you can see here the highlighted red area where these counties are all highlighted there in the deep south. That's a tornado watch. We've had some severe thunderstorm warnings pop up in that watch area this morning. More likely to see tornadoes there. We're less likely to see tornadoes out of this system, but anytime we have severe storms, a tornado isn't completely out of the question. Here's how it all will likely evolve. This is going to be 5 o'clock this evening. We'll start to see some cloud cover streaming into our southwestern counties with a possible shower during the evening commute or even as early as 7 o'clock tonight. We're not likely to see much of that in the Triangle area until, say, between 9 and midnight. And then after that, we'll continue to see some waves of rain. The heavier band of rain is likely to start affecting our southern counties by about 6 a.m. tomorrow. And then it gets heavier from, say, Goldsboro through the Triangle up toward Roxboro by 8 a.m. So the second half of the commute in the Triangle is likely to be the wettest part of it. At 10 a.m., that heavy band lifts northward, and it's mostly over by noon. We could see a few breaks in the clouds, but we'll also see scattered storms developing. And these storms are likely to be where we'd have the better chance of wind damage. So better chance of severe storms as we head through the afternoon and into the evening on Friday. Right now, it looks lovely out there. This is a live look at Chapel Hill. All good. I see folks out there in their shorts and T-shirts already, but it's still in the mid-50s. They've got the right idea, though. We'll climb into the 70s by lunchtime and into the mid-80s for highs this afternoon. So looking at 84 today. Today will feel very comfortable. Our humidity remains low, but the moisture arrives tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow the big story will be some heavy rain in the morning, storms in the afternoon, and a high of 77. Saturday and Sunday we'll see highs in the 80s, but the moisture lingers, so it's going to feel pretty muggy for us on Saturday and Sunday. So this evening is going to be perfect for bark in the park at the DBAP. The Durham Bulls play, of course, at 6 o'clock temperature 80, at 8 o'clock 75. Toward the end of the game or overnight tonight, there could be an isolated shower, but I really feel like most of that will be after the game is over. Remember, we do have a WRAL weather alert day for tomorrow. The weekend is looking a little drier. We were really watching for the timeline for a front to come in on Sunday, and the newest information is slowing that down a little bit, keeping things mostly dry for us on Sunday. Behind Sunday night's front, we're cooler on Monday and Tuesday.
911 calls are revealing new details about the shooting outside Academy Sports in Apex Tuesday that left an 18-year-old dead.
And I just saw somebody get shot in a parking lot. I'm by the Alpaca Peruvian Chicken in front of Academy Sports and Outdoors. I can't see the person that shot him. He's in a car. If you want the license plate, I can give it to you. Go ahead.
18-year-old David Sanchez died in that Tuesday shooting, and an on-duty SBI agent, Denzel Ward, shot him. Ward says Sanchez and a woman he was with were shoplifting and got into an altercation with him in the parking lot. Sanchez's mother tells WRAL she has a receipt her son was holding from his purchase.
The FBI says it will not file federal charges in the death of a North Carolina woman who died in Mexico. Shanquella Robinson was found dead in a hotel room in October while vacationing with friends in Cabo San Lucas. The FBI opened an investigation after a video posted online showed her being attacked by one of the friends. Yesterday, the agency said the investigation and autopsy did not provide enough evidence to support federal prosecution. Robinson's family says they'll keep pushing for justice, including with a May 19th march of the State Department in D.C. if there is no action taken by them.
Jury selection begins today in a high-profile defamation lawsuit against Fox News, and there's a last-minute twist to this. The judge overseeing the case now says he'll appoint an outside attorney to see whether the network lied to the court and withheld key evidence. This latest move from the judge gives Dominion the option to hold more depositions at Fox News' expense. Dominion Voting Systems is suing Fox for more than $1.5 billion, accusing the company of promoting the false claim that its voting software rigged the 2020 election. Opening statements in the lawsuit take place Monday. A new state audit reveals the Department of Public Instruction didn't properly monitor and report how it used nearly $2 billion in federal COVID relief funds. Auditors found the department didn't properly document how schools used relief funds. They also found that DPI only made half of the site visits that are required by the grants. The DPI says it is working on new compliance procedures. It also says staffing shortages and issues with federal software pose problems with information documentation.
Russia says it will not tolerate attempts by the U.S. to press for the release of a Wall Street Journal reporter who is currently being held on espionage charges. U.S. diplomats say they still haven't been able to see Evan Gershkovich since his arrest 2 weeks ago. However, Russian state media outlets say their officials are in working contact with the U.S. embassy. The current war in Ukraine is making negotiations tougher. Gershkovich is the first American journalist to be accused of spying since the Cold War.
Well, who doesn't love ice cream, right? Ice cream and coffee and deals that make it cheaper or even free. WRAL Smart Shopper Faye Prosser is here with the details on some delicious discounts from Dairy Queen and Dunkin'. Faye, what restaurant offers do you have for us today?
We got some good ones, Jeff. So you'll find at Dairy Queen, you can score an 85-cent small blizzard with the in-app offer through April 23rd at participating locations. And at Dunkin', they are offering multiple offers for reward members in April, including a free medium iced coffee with any purchase, $1 chocolate croissant with a purchase, and more at participating locations. You can see the details for both these offers over on the Smart Shopper page.
And new grocery deals, Faye, for the week started yesterday. You have a list, very impressive list of buys for us. What are your favorites this week?
Yeah, I got you covered at the grocery store. So in the produce deals, you'll find corn only 50 cents each at Harris Teeter and Publix, mangoes only 59 cents each at Aldi, and cantaloupe, lowest price we've seen so far this season, $1.69 each at Aldi. And in the meat department, you'll find chicken leg quarters, 59 cents a pound in a 10-pound bag at Lidl, Boston butt only $1.29 a pound at Food Lion, Harris Teeter bacon in a 12-ounce package, $2.99, and Nathan's Beef Franks, $4.99 at Lowe's Foods, but there's a $2 off one Lowe's Foods digital coupon, making them only $2.99. You'll also find 100% apple juice in a 64-ounce bottle, only 2 for $2 at Lidl. For my Lidl members, and Kraft shredded cheese is buy 2, get 3 free at Harris Teeter, making them only $1.88 each. And there's a 50-cent Ibotta cashback offer you can add to it to make it an even better deal. I have the details for all of these grocery deal offers and more over on the Smart Shopper column.
All right, Faye, we appreciate that. For more smart shopping tips from Faye, you can go to WRAL.com, look for the consumer tab, and search Smart Shopper. Have a good one, Faye. Michelle?
Thanks, Jeff.
Speaking of smart shopping, data shows the average price for a new car is lower than the sticker price for the first time in almost 2 years. That's according to Kelley Blue Book. The average new car price in March was $48,000. That's $550 less than the price in February. Analysts say there is now more inventory, which has led to that price drop.
Google Maps is making it easier for you to explore national parks. Searching for a trail now highlights the entire path rather than just a single point on it. Google says this will help people see what the trail looks like before going on it. Users can also see other people's photos of the trails and reviews. The new update also includes ways to quickly find some of the popular spots in a national park. Imagine by John Lennon, Like a Virgin by Madonna, and Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You are now on the National Recording Registry. Those tunes and the Super Mario Brothers theme were among the 25 recordings Library of Congress Carla Hayden named as audio treasures this week. New additions also included Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven and Queen Latifah's All Hail the Queen. The new titles bring the total number of songs selected for the National Recording Registry to 625 now.
To get Mariah Carey's song on that list.
Yeah, no, and there's probably a lot of them. If we think back on it, I don't know when Stairway to Heaven went, but if that was one of the recent ones. That's crazy amount of time.
Very cool.
Let's look at the winning lottery numbers right here before we head to break. We'll get another check on weather and traffic next.